So this is something that basically needs to change. This is the approach which has to come from the management boards. It needs to be transmitted to management boards of the factories. Mm-hmm. And this is the way we could really change the system. The thing is that they don't really want to do it because it's more costly. And especially on this tough market that we have right now, and especially that like Chinese ultra fast fashion chains come up with their ultra fast, ultra cheap stuff. Right. It's even more difficult for the regular fast fashion brands to cope and to win on the market. Right. So this is totally complicated and complex thing, which is not easy to solve within 1 year. Right. But there are fast fashion brands who at least are trying to solve some parts of the problems, but there are still a lot of brands that they don't really care at all, and they don't even say anything about sustainability. Yeah, they can say that they change bulbs in their office for more energy efficient or something like that, but it is not really the sustainable fashion. The sustainable fashion is about the sustainable production and sustainable product, because most of the impacts, like 97 to 99% of fashion impacts, are generated in supply chains, about the energy, about the water, about the chemicals. All the impacts are located in supply chains. Exactly. So it is very convenient for brands not to have their own factories, but just to outsource. It's so easy, so convenient, and they always can say it's not our problem. So it's complicated, but it is possible to solve. But only if the management boards are really engaged and they really want. And we have these kind of examples, like Danish brands, Gani. I don't know if you know that brand, but the good example always comes from the board, the management board.
Yeah, because they're the one who are responsible and actually handling all the stuff
and decisive
and decides it. Exactly. Right. So but to be ethical and be sustainable when we source, because I'm also in this industry, you have to make the investment, which you also mentioned. So how about a person who's wanting to make a change and not a big brand and just starting up, how they can be ethical in this sense?
There are many ways. In fact, every piece that you produce is not sustainable. Any sustainable thing is the one that already exists, and you use it and reuse it again, exactly. Right? But we cannot, this is also part of the business, which earns money for the people on the planet. So I'm trying, of course, not to be drastic. And of course, I understand that people want to make business, but make this business more sustainable. So right. There are different ways. You can make the production locally, for example. With local production, you are not only you're not only saving the carbon emissions, but you can also go to this factory and check the conditions. Yeah. So this is of course more sustainable. You can also go for preferred materials. So you can skip polyester and go for some kind of new options which are available there on the market.
Right.
You can also invest in consumer education. There are so many things that you can do to be more sustainable. It's just, making a strategy, making a plan, and just going with it.
Stick to it. Exactly. Yeah. Wow, that's actually exactly, I totally agree with you, because whatever the thing which is already existed is more sustainable, instead of we're making something new out, because it's, even though if we say it's sustainable and ethical, but still we don't need that because we already have enough. And that's where my brand is also Zayshin. We sometimes get stuck, and because we say, if we're about to launch a new collection or think about it, we say we have enough. We, as a brand owner, I also tell people that you don't have to buy even from my brand, because everything that you need is already in your closet. Please check that. But if you need something, not want or feel like, if you need something, then go for a sustainable and ethical brand. Or before even that, if you prefer going to the thrift store, because they have the clothes that already exist. So you can thrift and upcycle clothes, which is even a better option, right? Instead of buying a
Yeah,
new
I
one.
mean, you can still make business,
Yeah.
and you don't have to grow like crazy, no? The problem with the fast fashion, but fast all, in fact, because all the food is fast food. I mean, like, the mass production of everything
Right.
is a problem because
Yes.
we produce a lot and
Yeah.
then we waste a lot.
Yeah.
So it's not about closing all the business on the world, but creating businesses that are responsible
Mm-hmm.
and that do not only value the growth.
Yeah.
Growth is not the only KPI we can use to prove our business is successful,
Yeah.
And the
It's the
ultimate
impact.
value of every person in the world
Yeah.
is how they really help others, how they help solve problems, how they, just what they do for the good of the planet and other people. This is my thinking about. If I think about values, I think that the biggest value of every person in the world is that how they can, do good for other people and planet,
Right.
which is of course not popular and which is of course not the same for the big companies, for the corporations, which I don't really understand, because finally these big businesses are also dependent on the planet, which is boiling, which is showing, I have enough.
Yeah.
So there are so many risks that these big companies will face in the future, and they still seem not to take care of it. It really endangers their businesses, so,
Exactly.
like always looking at the short-term gains rather than long-term strategy, which would be good for their business as well as planet and other people.
Yeah. So whenever we talk about this thing and people do not understand, there's only one quote that always come to my mind, which is, I don't know if you heard that or not, that the world is not going anywhere, but we are.
Yes.
So if something happens, the world gonna heal by itself. It gonna take a little time, but it gonna stay. But
Yeah.
it's the impact it gonna be on us if we do not. And it's actually happening. We see that all the people in like Ghana and living in Africa or the other side of where, especially the fashion we're talking about right now, in the industries or the factories, they are struggling. They
Yeah.
with the water, with the supply of the electricity and all that. It's very difficult. So we have to take a step one at a time to be better. As you also mentioned with all the things, I really appreciate that. And I totally agree with all the things that you have mentioned. And getting the business wide is not the goal, but the impact. So, because the impact, even with the small type of a market, if you're making an impact with a positive way, so which is better than growing the business in the larger scale like that, because the main goal is to make an impact, is to be more sustainable.
Yes, exactly. And every seminar, every webinar I do, I always start with one sentence.
What's
My
that?
one decision will not change anything, said 8 billion people.
Wow.
And this is something which really inspires me, because it shows that we really do have impact.
Of course we do.
We will not change the world during the one day. And
Yeah.